Hey guys, what is going on? This is Eric, and today we're going to talk about real estate. Not only real estate, why I think it's probably the worst investment you can make. Not necessarily, but there's a good chance it is. You know, society always teaches you that buying a house, it's the best investment you can ever make, and probably the biggest goal they have in life, to own some sort of a property. Now, it might be a good solution for a lot of people, but if you're subscribed to this channel, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, but if you're running a business and you're an entrepreneur, maybe buying a house isn't the best opportunity for you, and I'm gonna explain a little bit in this video. What if I told you that buying a house might be the worst investment you'll ever have in your life? And if you're about to buy a house, maybe you should watch this video and only then decide. Now, I'm not saying it's not for you, but it might not be for you. So listen up. And before we even dive deeper into this video, it's important to mention that, don't get me wrong, real estate is nice. I myself own a few pieces not a few. I own a piece of property for investment myself. I do think about owning more in the future. However, I still think it's the worst investment for most people. Now, let me explain. Alright guys, so first of all, let's have a look at why people are looking at buying a house as the best investment in the world. And for me, the way I see it and the way society taught me, it connects to three things. First, security. You have your own piece of land. Nobody can take you out. It's probably the best thing ever. And you know, it feels secure. It's my piece of land. Nobody can take me out. And then the second is not paying rent. If every month you spend, I don't know, 5,000 shekels on rent, which is like $1,000. I don't know, Israel is crazy expensive. But let's say that you're paying every month. It's one of the biggest expenses that most people have is rent. If you own a house, you don't need to pay it, which connects me to the last point, which is just reduce the cost of living so you can save more, and then over time you're gonna have more. Okay, so these 3 points, I fully understand them. Let's rethink them together in the way I think to understand why I think it's the worst investment ever. So let's start with security. You can get security just by paying rent. You might have to go from one place to another, but again, if you pay, you have contracts, you have this security. But you need to understand that even if you buy a house, you think that you have security, it's a long-term investment, 20, 30 years. Even if you buy a house in a place that is a very up-and-coming neighborhood, in 20 years, who knows, it might end up be a very bad place to live in. You really don't know what's gonna happen. Look at Amsterdam. Even there, like the tunnels are going up. Some of the people that own houses, maybe the best locations ever, might be worth shit because everything is gonna go up. And this is just an example. You really don't know what's gonna happen in 20 years. So I'm just saying that the security of location, it's not necessarily the case. Maybe actually renting, it's a better option because you can at least control where you live. And other than that, to be honest, staying in the same place for 20 years, it's boring. I don't want to do it. I want to stay fresh up. About not paying more, which is the second point, right? If you don't need to pay rent. Well, yes, but you need to pay mortgage, and in many cases that's commitment for a long time. And what's gonna happen if you're gonna lose your job and you're not gonna be able to pay for it? You're gonna lose the house. And not only that, I mean, in many cases you first have to build the house, which can take like 1 year, 2 years, sometimes even more. And during this time you're gonna have to pay mortgage and you're gonna have to pay rent. So nobody is promising you that it's going to be more like cost effective. It can if it's being done right, but it's not necessarily the case, and you need to be aware of that. Again, on the same case about saving more, it's all about, like, I don't think it's about how much you save. It is important, but it's not the most important thing. There is a limit to how much you can save. It's just a percentage of how much you make, but there is no limit to how much you can make. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on making more money so that you can live better without necessarily focusing on how much you can save so you can, I don't know, afford life. And again, takes me back to the point where when we started this business, I just didn't want to go to the supermarket and look at 2 pieces of tuna. One is like $1 and one is like $1.10, and make my decisions based on that. That's all I wanted at the beginning. So again, saving these 10 cents doesn't make sense. Let's focus on making more. Yeah, I think these are pretty much the main point. In addition to that, one thing that you need to know about, I mean, you probably already know about real estate, is the fact that it's a very old industry. It's been existing for tens of thousands of years, renting and buying and selling houses. Because it's very old, it's very standardized, and the prices are pretty much known, and they're like, everybody knows the market. The yields are very low, 2 to 3% a year, and the prices are very expensive. That's why not everybody are owning a house. So the barrier of entry is very high. What if I told you you can spend much less, okay, risk much less, have much higher yields, and over time just have better return on investment without having to commit for 20 years mortgage? That would probably be a better solution for everybody. The issue is that most people are just not organized enough in their finances, but if you do it right, you can do so much better in the long run. So again, if I'm just going back to my point, why would you put all of your eggs in a single basket? Everything in one place, and then if something happens, you lose everything. Let's say that you're losing your work, your job, you get fired, suddenly you can't pay for the mortgage, you lose the house, you lose everything, and you commit for so long. It's like 20 years and it's tough, you cannot move anywhere, you're committing to a geographical location, everything is putting you down with anchors to the ground. It's not the place you don't want to be a slave to your house. If you own the house, just buy it if you can afford it in a single click, which most people just can't. Another bad thing that I think about real estate is that it's not liquid at all. Like if you want to sell your house from today to tomorrow, either way it's going to take some time for you to get the money, and if you really want to make it quick, you're going to lose a lot of money because you're going to have to reduce the price. Selling a house on the market price going to take some time. It can take 6 months, it can take a year if you want to sell it on a good price. If you want to sell it fast, to liquidate it, you're gonna have to lose a lot of money. So it's also something you need to consider because you never know when you're actually gonna need money fast. So make sure, again, that you have these defenses against it. You don't wanna lose a house just because someone needs to go through a surgery or something. So we talked about why I think real estate isn't the best idea for everyone. Now, what are the alternatives? That's probably what you're asking yourself through this video if you're not bored to death yet. I'm gonna give you a few examples that I personally invest in that I think are way better options than real estate. So if you want to go simple, very simple, and that's probably the simplest way to go about it, I would go with investing in the stock markets, in the index funds. This is where you really don't need to think, and usually the return on investment are about 8% annual on an average. You can just do it through the bank app you have, or just open like a trading account in some of the trading companies. It's very liquid. You can sell it from today to tomorrow, and usually you can need to invest as low as like $100 every time, and all you have to do is just on a monthly basis just putting a little more. You don't have to commit to like $50,000 investment. You can invest as low as $100. You can take it out as much as you want. The yield is so much better. Why wouldn't you go this route? If you don't know how to get started and you're not sure about which index funds are the ones you need to invest in, and some of these index funds actually pay dividends like 2 to 3% every year, in addition to the 8% increase in value year over year. That's insane. Now, if you're not sure about which index fund to invest, there is a cool video by Graham here that I'm gonna link so you can watch it later. I personally invest based on this video and I love it, so check it out. Now, another option would be to buy some sort of a digital asset like an app or a website, but I'll talk about it later. The last option would be to open an online business. I think this is probably the best option for young people. The beautiful thing about online businesses, either software, maybe software not, but an agency or a service or a store, it requires very low amount of money to get started. You don't need to invest much, you just need to put in your effort, which is going to take a lot of your effort. But if you invest anything, invest time and effort and not money, especially when you don't have any, you're trying to save. Put in your effort to build this type of business. If you build an agency or you provide a service, you really don't need to do anything but selling your own time and market yourself. Now, there are tons of other videos talking about exactly how to get these done, but businesses have the biggest ROI, like it's endless. It will be whatever you make it. Another thing about real estate, if you're already deciding to invest in real estate, my suggestion, and this is what I personally did, is do not invest in the local market, okay? And when I say local market, I don't even talk about your state or area or city, I'm talking about the country. Okay, think globally. If you do invest in real estate, there are two things that I think are important. First of all, think globally. And the reason for that is you're going to get probably the best return on investment. If you invest locally, in Israel, for example, the yearly return on investment on your apartment is going to be somewhere between 2 to 3%. There are other countries where I can invest much less and get much better returns, like 5 to 6% or 8%. It depends on where you buy. In certain cities around the world, you can also buy apartments as low as $30,000, $40,000. And the second thing that is important is you want to do nothing. You don't want to put too much effort into handling and managing real estate. It's a huge headache. I have friends who have apartments and they manage everything, and it's a huge headache. There are companies that's going to help you buy properties in other countries. For example, I bought my apartment in Greece. I used a company that helped me find the deal, renovate the place, rent the place, and now they're managing the apartment for me. Of course, maybe my return is going a little bit lower because I need to pay them, but I didn't need to do anything. Just put in the money, and now there is the rent coming in. That's it. That's what you want to do. You want to look at it in the coldest way possible, and the coldest way possible means you don't need to do anything. You want to be free to do other things other than the real estate. If you have a business, if you have work, if you have life, you don't want to deal with this property anymore. So this is how I see real estate. And again, it needs to be money you can afford to lose. The one thing that I find really bothering about real estate is the fact that most people just put everything in one place and then they just have no options. So you don't want to go to this place. It can be devastating for a lot of people. This is my 2 cents around real estate. If you find this interesting, just comment in the comment section below Greece, and I can share the company details with you so you can talk to them as well. But there are companies doing it in the US, there are companies doing it in Thailand, there are companies doing it in Europe. You can check it out. There's so many options, but do some research. Just type in Google, where should I buy an apartment in? The best cities to buy apartments in, the cities with the best return on investment in real estate, blah blah blah, and you'll find the information. Or cheapest apartments in the world, you will find like all the information you need. And one last thing, remember I told you that you can buy a digital real estate, and I'll talk about it at the end. So if you want to check it out, we have a video specifically about digital real estate. Check it out in here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.